Rosenberg Museum is a very strange, I would say bizarre project that was initiated by Jon Rose in 80s of last century in Sydney or around Sydney, and then he made up a fictive person, Dr. Johannes Rosenberg, and he moved to East Berlin in late 90s to make a research on his life and experiments with string instruments. Then I met John. We found together a violin, a village in the South Slovakia, which of course doesn't have nothing etymological connection with violin, but it fits to our project. And I also found a real Rosenberg person, one experimental musician in north part of Slovakia, Milan Adamčiak, who used to nickname his some project by Rosenberg, according to his birthplace Rosenberg, which is the town in North Slovakia. So that at that time our collaboration with John started, and I somehow became the curator of this very bizarre project, and we made lot of projects and exhibitions and various forms of presentation, and suddenly our project became a huge collective work in progress, and it's working to these days. When we decided to move it back to Sydney, this is maybe not a very far. We are preparing the bigger exhibition for Berlin next year, and maybe also in Museum of Music Instruments in Brussels. But next year, after it will go to Sydney. I'm dealing with philosophy of music and aesthetics of music, and somehow I started to reflect the intermedia projects, and it happened at the beginning of 90s when I was working on my PhD thesis at Communist University. And I deeply had to be somehow involved in this intermedia project, and then at the time nobody called it sound art, at least not at in our region. But then I realized that this is kind of Cajun prolongation. Funny thing is also this sound art term, because for example a lot of sound art pieces from 60s or even earlier were called and accepted as a music. Nobody called it as a sound art, but it were the typical environments or sound situations, or I don't know, happenings working or evolving from the sound. So already music had accepted it as a piece of music, and then in late 90s, I think, when the visual artists and some of the architects start to elaborate and investigate the acoustic characteristics of processes and spaces, this term appeared, but it was already done by many experimental musicians as a music.